The business case for this is you have a survey form, and what you want to do is to add a multi select pick list to it. So we're adding what evenings would you like to participate. What that's done is it's put out on our sheet. You can see a response. It comes back with the header on what days. So what we're going to do is to change the header. So we're going to go out here and copy availability and replace this with availability, so it makes it easier for us to see on our maps. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that in Salesforce we've built this out. We're going to see that we're delimited with semicolons here. Unfortunately, we're delimited with commas here, which means that when we go out to Zapier, and what we're going to be doing here is editing the template, we find this using Control F, looking for availability. And we find that when we click here, we can choose a static value. We don't want to do that, so we're going to do a custom value. And for that custom value, we're going to do a lookup, and we're going to say we want to find availability here. And so what we're able to do then is to save it, test it, and what happens is it comes back and tells us that unfortunately we've got a problem there. So what we need to do is we need to step in and create an action prior to doing the mapping. And what we want to do is to do, this is a formatter. And so if we scroll down here, what you'll see is formatter shows up down here. Or we could have searched for it in the search bar, but let's just go ahead and click here now. And so we're doing a search, and you can kind of work through these with lots of things you can do within these tools. We're going to save and continue, and what we're going to do then is we're going to be setting this up. So what we're going to say is we want to transform, and so what it's looking at to see is what is it that we can do. We want to do a replace, and so we're going to click replace. And it says then, what is it that you want to, what's the text that you want to go after? And we're going to say, and not much happens when we click in here, so we could look for text, but we're going to go on ahead and say, let's go find it. And so we're going to go search for, and I'm going to drag this down just so we can see it. What I want to do is to go for availability. And so we're going to say, let's look in availability. And we have this option here. They talk about finding a space. So what we're going to be looking for is a comma followed by a space. And what we want to do is to replace that with a semicolon in the input file so that Salesforce won't have an error. So we're going to click continue. And what it does is to say, great, let's do a quick sample. And so we're going to send a sample test and say, let's go make sure that this is all working. What it does is then comes back and says it worked. It shows us what we've got here, and we're able to move on to the next step. So to make our life easier, the first thing we're going to do is to rename this. And we're going to say, rather than just text, we're going to give it a more descriptive name. So I'm going to call it kind of reformat MS pick list, okay? And we're going to say, let's make that work. And what that means is that as we go into the edit the template here, and we're able to say, let's go find out, we want to again go find availability. And we're going to say, here it is. And you can see it's currently delimited this way. So what I'm going to actually do is delete that. And I'm going to go and find and insert a field. And I have two options here. And let me drag this down just so you can see it. So I'm going to click here. And I'm going to go into this one. And then I'm going to choose this one. So this is just a new column F that's been inserted. And what that's doing is it's bringing it in the new format. But what we're able to do then is to select test this step. And let me just kind of get out of it and make sure that that's all saved. And I can test this step. And what I'm able to do is to say, okay, that was successful, or maybe it wasn't successful. This was an earlier one that I was doing. So let's retest this step. and send the test to Salesforce. And then what we're looking for here is it was sent and it was successful, and so we can now go check and see what happened. And actually, since we've done the test, we now need to finish. So we click Finish, and what that does is to say, you've done what you need to. Let's see what you can do. So let's go out and see what it did in Salesforce. And what we find is that we have a contact with first and last, and you can see this was also a mailing address, London, and it also has the evenings of the information. If we go out and look here, we have the same information. So we had a successful test. So it all worked.